Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello everybody with a new video, A Tale of Two Cities. But this time inshallah it will be about illustration. We're going to talk about motives, about imprisonment mentally and physically for Dr. Mannett and Madame Defarge. After that we are going to talk about revenge concerning Gasper's child. And finally, with love, I'll be with you inshallah, Mr. Walid. Dr. Manet's experience as a prisoner was traumatic. We're going to talk about Dr. Mannett. Let's describe him at first, that he was a white-haired man. He was sitting on a low bench busily making shoes at Defarge's house, as you know. He thought that he was still in prison, calling himself 105 North Tower. Okay? He lost his career and his mind as well. He couldn't remember Mr. Lorry or Defarge. When he saw his daughter after that, he remembered his wife, whom he last saw her on the night he was taken to prison, and he thought that his daughter, his wife. That was Dr. Mannett. بعد الشكل اللي احنا شفناه ده, a prisoner, a wreck of a man. But after 5 years, we see him in court, a different person. Also, as a witness, he explained his condition on the boat. To the judge, he was sure of what he said. كان واثق جدا في وصفه لنفسه. Later in his house, he started receiving patients as a doctor, as a reputed doctor. And when Mr. Lorry visited him, he was surprised to see the shoemaker's bench and tools in the doctor's room. إنه تقريبا بدأ يفكر في الحاجات دي تاني. Dr. Mannett never talked about his time as a shoemaker, but Miss Pross believed that he often thought about it. Dr. Mannett got up in the night and walked up and down, رايح جاي في الأوضة كده, in his room. Lucy had realized that his mind, he was walking in his old cell at the Bastille. إن مش هو اللي بيمشي, ده دماغه اللي بتمشي في ذكرياته في الباستيل. Charles Darnay's story about the Tower of London had a frightening effect on Dr. Mannett. That he suddenly jumped up with his hand to his head. اتفاجئ كده وتصعق لما سمع الكلام القديم تاني. إن هو كأنه لسه محبوس جوه فكرته اللي هي الحبس. In the morning of his daughter's wedding, he knew that his daughter is going to marry one of the Evermonts, اللي هو Charles Darnay. His real name was Evermont, and the Marquis was his uncle. He was shocked by this information, but he tried to appear cheerful in order not to spoil the happiness of his daughter. After his daughter had traveled with Darnay, he suffered from relapsing. انتكاسة بقى, بدأ يفتكر ويرجع لأمور السجن تاني. He suffered from relapsing again and went to his room to make shoes. Let's go to another example for imprisonment. But this time, we're going to talk about Madame Defarge. She was imprisoned, but in her mind. How? Madame Defarge was the wife of Monsieur Defarge. He was a servant for Dr. Mannett. She was a strong character. She was always seen knitting. She hated the nobles. The names of all the nobles are kept in her mind. She has noted down the names and crimes of those who are to be executed during revolution. مش سايبة حد في حاله. The list was long, and Madame Defarge was always busy. She always added names to it. مش مضيعة. Madame Defarge was an example of the blind revenge, as she hated all the nobles. She was a woman full of hatred and desire to revenge. She wanted to take revenge from Darnay and all his family, اللي هما his daughter, his wife, and Dr. Mannett. But why? As they tried to help him. عايزة تخلص عليه وعلى كل اللي بيحبه. ليه؟ This is because the Evermont twins killed her whole family. So she wanted to kill all his family. She had no feelings of sorrow or regret. She was motivated by hate and armed with revenge. عرفنا ليه السبب. هي ليه لغاية دلوقتي بتكره الناس دي قوي. عشان قتلوا كل عيلتها. Let's change to love. Miss Pross loved Lucy Mannett. Miss Pross was a lady. She brought her up, and over the years she became like a mother to Lucy and would have given her life for her. When Lucy fainted after she had heard about her father from Dr. Mannett, if you remember in the first chapter, Miss Pross rushed into the room. She called her a bat, a bird. She talked angrily with Mr. Lorry. You in brown suit, couldn't you tell her your news in a way that didn't frighten her? She defended her. Another example. She defended her when Madame Defarge wanted to kill her at the end of the story or our novel. She wanted to kill her and to kill little Lucy. As she promised herself, Madame Defarge, I mean, to kill the whole family for any of the Evermonts. And they fought together. Madame Defarge and Miss Pross, they fought together until Madame Defarge was accidentally killed by her own gun. Finally, let's talk about revenge. Blind revenge or right revenge. Let's discuss it. Do you remember Gaspard, the peasant whose son was killed under the wheels of the Marquis's carriage? When the Marquis killed him and he gave him a coin instead of him. Okay? He decided to take revenge on him. He entered the castle and hid until night. Then he stabbed him in his heart, in his room. In his chest was a knife with a note that said, "Drive him to his grave. This from Jax." Drive him fast to his grave. This is from Jax. These words were found written on a paper on the handle of the knife, which Gaspard used to kill the Marquis. Gaspard drove a knife into the heart in revenge for his death, for the death of his child under the wheels of the carriage. Thank you for your time. Hope you all the best wishes. Goodbye.